Well, friends, so we are going to have an interaction on what is there in the module for numeracy. This module is part of Foundational Literacy and Numeracy course, and I hope you may have already read this module. And on reading and conducting activities with children, you may be having certain questions in your mind. I have with me Miss Gunjan, who is also having certain some questions. These questions may be similar to those which you are having in your mind, or maybe some different questions are there. So I'll ask Gunjan to ask questions, and then I'll try to answer your queries.
So, sir, my first question is we usually talk about counting when we start with early learners, but the module talks about pre number concepts. So, what are they and what is their relevance with counting?
Good. In order to understand this, let us count the number of objects placed here. These are, say, 1, 2. Now observe the process of counting. This is 1, then 2, then 3, and so on. What I am doing? Every time when I am counting, I am dividing or classifying this complete group into two parts. One part is of the objects which have already been counted, another which are to be counted. So, 1, 2, 3. So, every time this is classified into two parts. This classification is considered to be a very important skill while we count, while we talk about numbers. Now, again see, when I am saying this is 1, so I have associated a number with this, and this will be associated with all those objects which are having as many number of objects as these number of these cubes are there. Say for example, this is also 1, my finger is also 1, and so on. So, therefore, 1 is associated with this, then 2, number 2 is associated with this group, and when I am saying about 2, then every time this type of group is coming into mind, or when I am looking into this, number 2 is coming to my mind. So, this one-to-one correspondence between a number name and the number of objects in a group. This one-to-one correspondence is another important skill which we require before we go for counting. And the third one is, if we say 1, 2, 5, 7, 3, the counting will never be okay. So, in order to have a good counting or exact counting, what we need is these numbers in an order. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. This seriation is very important, seriation of number names in an order. And if we do not consider this seriation, counting will not be appropriately okay. So, therefore, seriation is considered to be another important pre-number skill, and this seriation normally, now these three, when we develop classification, seriation, we start them without talking about counting. We do not tell a child that you are going to be count objects, that is why these are required. They enjoy. So, we do conduct activities for classification with large number of objects on the basis of color, on the basis of shapes, on the basis of size, and so on. Similarly, we go for seriation on the basis of size, on the basis of length, and so on. Then we go for one-to-one correspondence between two groups. One group is having certain number of objects, another group is having another certain number of objects. So, there is one-to-one correspondence we make. So, for example, boys and hats. So, one-to-one correspondence, one boy, one hat, one boy, one hat, one hat, one boy, and so this one-to-one correspondence. Such activities we conduct, large number of such activities we conduct at a preschool stage. So, we make learner ready to count before we start counting or before we start talking about numbers.
Okay, so the main pre number concepts are classification, one to one correspondence, and seriation. Is it right,
Yes,
sir?
absolutely.
So, sir, how should these skills be enhanced in preschoolers?
As I mentioned, children are required to be engaged in such activities wherein they are having opportunity to classify objects. Say for example, we are having these objects are placed here. Now, if they have to classify on the basis of color,
Okay.
so the color classification yellow and the other color, not yellow. So, children may classify like this. This is one attribute on the basis of which the classification has been done by the children. There may be more than one attributes, but that increases the complexity of the task. So, we should increase the complexity, but gradually, slowly. When child is of age 3 year, probably only classification on the basis of one attribute is important, and then slowly and slowly when child is of age 4 year, or when, and then when experiences are enriched. This is not much related with the age, but related with the experience. When experiences are slightly better, then you can say introduce one more attribute, then on the basis of 3 attributes, 4 attributes, and so on. So, classification. Similarly, for seriation, you can say children normally seriate, wherein they, for example, one bigger object, then there on which a smaller object is placed, another smaller object and a smaller object. They normally have this understanding that a bigger object is not to be placed on a smaller object, because that will not be stable enough. So, that is a children already have, they are doing certain seriation, but even then on the basis of length, for example, sticks of different lengths are given to them and they have to arrange them. There may be, say, material of different utility, they have to arrange them. Say, for example, there are pictures of their daily routine activities. They
Yes.
are say waking up in the morning, then taking bath, then taking breakfast, then reading for school, then doing activities in the school, then coming back to home, and there are pictures. These pictures are to be arranged in an order. There are pictures related to stories where children have to arrange them. So, these are activities which are to be conducted, and for one-to-one correspondence there may be, say, for example, two groups, wherein in one group there are boys and in another group there are hats. So, children have to arrange one boy, one hat, one boy, and so on. So, they can then also come to know that which one is more, number of boys is more, number of hats is more, or both are equal, and so on. So, more or less is also coming when children started one-to-one correspondence.
Yes, sir, I understood it. And sir, one another question is, sir, as we all know, numbers is an integral part of a child's life. But when we talk about number sense or development of number sense, is learning about number same as development of number sense, or there is something more to it?
Now, see, our understanding about learning numbers is only about counting and reciting numbers in an order. If my child is able to recite number names in an order, I understand, or people used to understand that my child has understood counting, whereas that is not counting. Number one, for counting, one simple test is there. Say, when a child is able to give me number of objects as per the number. Say, for example, if I ask you, take out 5 blocks from here. So, will you be able to do it? Take out 5.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are 5 blocks.
So, you are able to do it. Now, if I ask you, how many are these?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are 7 blocks.
These are 7. So, two different types of activities a child is able to do. Number one, when a number is told, child is able to extract or form a group of objects as per the given number.
Okay.
And second is, when a group of objects is given, he is able to tell me, he or she is able to tell me the number corresponding to this group. When a child is able to do these two, we understand the child has understood the counting process and is now slowly and initiated the idea of having number sense. By number sense, child must be able to now understand that what is relationship between 6 and 5. See, 6 is 1 more than 5, 5 is 1 less than 6. Say, if 5 can be divided into 2 parts 3 and 2, 6 can be divided into 2 parts 3 and 3, and so on. So, when child has this understanding, we say the child has started having number sense.
And sir, apart from numbers, a child also encounters shape around him. So can we include the concepts of shapes with numeracy?
Of course, yes. When we say numeracy, we are not only talking about numbers and counting. It is more about the reasoning, more about a way of thinking. Mathematics is a way of thinking which is logical, for which child is having reason for everything whatever he or she is saying. If I ask why you said this, child must be having some idea of why. So, when child is starting explaining why communication skill is improving, child is having idea about the thinking and so on. So, thinking is also involved while whatever is in child's experiences, and shapes are in much more manner in child's experiences, much more in child's experiences rather than numbers, because shapes are all around child. So, shapes child normally is seeing, knows the names of those shapes, shape, size of their shape and so on, or relationship between two shapes. How, say for example, if I have now these two shapes with me. So, let us see these two shapes. Child must be seeing these two, but there are certain relationship, there are some similarity in these two shapes and there are some differences in these two shapes. Child has started making out these differences. Child knows what is the difference between glass and bottle. If you ask a child of say age 2 years, probably may not be knowing the name of the shape itself, but probably yes, will be able to tell you lot many differences or the similarities between the two shapes, and that is what in child's daily life. So, therefore, shapes are all around, and when we talk about numeracy skills, they include shapes. Then in addition to shapes, there is certain vocabulary related to shapes and positions, and that, say for example, above, below, in, out, right, left and so on. So, child must be able to use this vocabulary in an appropriate manner, means where this word in is to be used, appropriately should be used, and this child can do with exposure and experience. When child is provided lot of opportunities to work with this and to use this vocabulary, child will understand where this is to be used, what is the right use of word here and so on, means in is to be used or out is to be used. When we say in, child will slowly or gradually will also make an understanding of the relativity of these words. Say for example, in with certain reference something is in, with other reference something is out. So, child will also consider, maybe at the later stage when the experiences are enriched, child will make out that there is this relativity when we say in or out, when we say anything, when we say large, when we say long, when we say short, when we say tall. Tall may be, say, with reference to something it is tall, with reference to something it may be short. So, I think this is very important aspect, the shapes are very important aspect, and this we consider on the name of spatial understanding. And so, this spatial understanding includes two. Number one, the shapes, their names, their characteristics, similarities between two shapes, differences between two shapes, and another is the spatial vocabulary, their exact meaning, their exact usage.
Sir, we talk about development and strengthening of problem solving skills in children. So, are these skills relevant with preschoolers also?
Of course, why not? See, every person, maybe a child of age 2 months, has certain problems for which he or she is finding solution and solving. So, but problem solving related with numeracy, related with mathematics, obviously is there. So, children have lot of such activities surrounding them, for which, say for example, child is already having some number of toffees with him, and now he or she has given some to his younger or elder brother or sister, and now how many are left, how many are given. So, if these many are left, can I give it to mama also, or can I give it to some more to other, and so there are many such situations which probably child is interested in finding out solutions to them. These are very small simple problems which are around every child, and these require to be the attitude of solving problems by using the knowledge which is already there, attempting a solution, then testing the solution, and then modifying the methods of solving the problem. This all is required with the young child also. Say for example, addition of numbers and subtraction of numbers. So, I have 10 rupees with me, I bought something for 5 rupees, bought something for 3 rupees. If I gave 10 rupees to the shopkeeper, how many rupees will I get back? So, obviously, lot of mathematics is required. 5 plus 3 is 8, 10 minus 8 is 2. So, child will be able to do, or otherwise there may be a number of different ways that I have 10 rupees, I bought something for 5 rupees, so 10 minus 5, 5 rupees are left. I bought something for 3 rupees, 5 minus 3, 2 rupees are left. So, instead of adding 5 and 3, child has only subtracted 5 from 10 and then 3 from 5. So, this probably there are many ways of solving. Children should be provided opportunity of say attempting such different ways of solving problems and ultimately reaching to the problem solving. So, very important aspect. Later on we see when child is entering into some maybe higher classes, we do not use our knowledge which is required in order to solve problems. We only use that problem to say get good marks in examination. So, we have to move beyond that, and NEP has very clearly mentioned that problem solving is the skill which is required to be developed among children.
So, sir, that means we should use contextual situations before introducing a concept, is it?
Of course, very important. Whatever material is given in this module, all teachers, I will request you, please read this, try to do these activities with children, but contextualize this. Everywhere the situation will not be same. Every child is different, different in context. So, you have to have different types of activities. You have to modify activity as per child's context. You have to create examples. You have to create situations as per child's own context. So, that child should be having a relationship between what is happening in the classroom and what is happening at home. So, this continuous relationship should be developed. So, therefore, contextualization is very important aspect. Until child relates that whatever is given in the book, whatever my teacher is doing with me, that all is my daily life. Until child is realizing that, there is no use of any education.
Sir, my last question is, we usually talk about literacy and numeracy skills together. So, are they interrelated or is there any connection in them?
Of course, there is a strong connection. See, I used to say this, if I take out number names from your daily language, will you be able to express yourself whenever you want something? For example, now if you have to tell me, see how many are these objects, and without using any number name, will you be able to tell? Not at all, it will be very, very difficult. Either I have to use my fingers or a group which is having as many objects as these are, or if these number of objects become larger and larger, I will not be having any group associated with this which I can show, or otherwise then I have to keep that maybe say number of pebbles with them in my bag, and I will say how many objects are, how many sheep are there in your herd, I will say these many sheep are there as the number of pebbles are, if I do not use the number name. So, therefore, number name is very important aspect of say my communication. Similarly, thinking, when I am thinking and I am using words related to vocabulary related to mathematics in my daily life, daily language, I am making out meaning out of that. So, I cannot say child, for this is my bifurcation for a child, that this is numeracy, this is literacy, and this is maybe mathematical thinking, this is social science, this is EVS, and this is science, and so on. This is our classification. Children are having some problems and they are finding solutions. So, for them they try to understand the word, and when they try to understand the word, they try to communicate, they want to know what others are saying, and they want to tell others what is going on in their mind. Then a strong language is required, for which mathematical language is important aspect. So, without mathematical language no communication can be complete, and for any communication we need language, for which mathematical language is also important aspect. So, we cannot say that number names are mathematical language, but say describing properties of shapes. For example, for this object, slowly I will say, okay, these have these many corners, but then later I will understand, maybe at say in class 4, class 5 somewhere, I will understand that these are called vertices. So, I will say these have this many vertices, these many edges, these surfaces are plane surfaces, this surface is rectangular surface. This is mathematical language. I will be in a better way to express. Until I use a rectangular surface, I cannot express it as appropriately as it is. So, therefore, it is essential that I should be able to use this language in order to express this. That is why mathematical language is having another important role in communication. Otherwise, we will not be able to communicate appropriately.
So, Sir, can we start by bringing child's own language in maths classroom?
Of course, yes. And this is not only in case of mathematical language. This is for any language development. Child's home language, home vocabulary is very important. Child, say for example, may not be having any idea about new words which we are using, but child may be saying something else for that, having the idea of that concept, having the idea of that object, but not the name as such as we are saying in my language. So, probably when I say edge, so I may not be having any idea about edge, but child, say for example, is coming from a Hindi family and is saying kinara. So chalega, then there is no problem if we say child is started saying, maybe when we are teaching, child is started saying this has these many kinaras, इसमें इतने किनारे हैं, इसमें इतने कोने हैं. So when child has started saying, we should accept it. From there gradually we will build up the mathematical language. I hope I am able to answer some of the queries raised by Gunjanji. Do you have any other query, Gunjan?
No, sir, you have explained it very well.
So, friends, I hope you also made out something from this after reading your module. Either if you have already read this module, then this interaction will help you, or if you have not read, then now go for reading and try to correlate whatever we have discussed here, that with your reading, with the material given in the module, and you will find that now you are able to develop a better understanding. And in case of any other queries, you can write to us. Thank you very much.